Numbskull News, and today, does the Big Ten hate Florida State? They just don't want them. That's what's being reported. New article came out. USA Today, according to that guy, whatever his name is, Matt something or other, he doesn't feel that the Big Ten has any inkling, does not care. Now, one guy, I don't care if he's a national guy, I don't care if he's bona fide or not, I don't care what sources he has, I'm going to make up my own damn mind about things. However, he's not the only one saying it. Other people have been saying it, guys on YouTube, and this is why I don't like this guy very much. Kind of taking a dump on people on YouTube. And I'm like, look, there's people on YouTube that are legit, that have sources, that have information. Not everybody, not all of them, but some. So don't crap on everybody, peckerhead. But he did, whatever. I don't expect anything less. This is why, I don't have a lot of respect for the national people, but, I mean, some of them are cool, but, However, like I said, he's not the only one saying it. The folks I just talked about on YouTube have been saying the same thing. Not everybody, but there are select few out there that have. Enough. And then you couple that when you look at the last schools that were selected for AAU. We're talking Miami. We're talking Notre Dame. G5 schools. But Florida State was left out. Most Florida State fans have kind of brushed that aside. Like, it's a good old boys club. It's a political thing more than, whatever. Well, what does that tell you? Because who controls it? Well, the Big Ten controls the AAU status. They have overwhelming say in who gets into the AAU. And a lot of the same people who vote on AAU and have a certain feeling about it, also are going to vote on who gets brought in to the Big Ten through realignment, through expansion. Yeah. So when I add that stuff together, I'm like, whoa, hold on. There appears to be some legitimacy to this reporting. We got some factual stuff that we can add with that. Now, I think it's a bad idea. I think it's prideful. Like, you're too good for Florida State? Are you kidding me? So, and by the way, there have been a lot of folks out there, and I mean a lot, that just have it in their head that the Big Ten is going to expand to 24 teams or more. No. It's not going to happen. It's never. And yes, I will say right now, permanently will never happen. If they don't like Florida State, you cannot convince me there's 5 other schools they like. Maybe a couple. I go back to my earlier speculation on the Big Ten, where, to me, I thought their preferred number 19 team, of course, is Notre Dame. And after that, Miami. And by the way, there's plenty of national people out there that are starting to, look for the Big Ten in Miami. Look for the Big Ten in Miami. This is why I stopped talking about Miami to the Big 12, because I think that the odds of that have dropped significantly. And now that you hear they just don't like Florida State, and they didn't give them AAU status. One of the top research schools in the country, which is Florida State. From my understanding, I'm not an expert, but they are a highly rated academic school and were shut out of AAU. And also, I'm not an expert on all things Notre Dame, but I've been told over and over and over again that they're not much of a research facility there, yet they got AAU status. So, if we all believe that the AAU thing is kind of a good old boys club, got the political swagger to it, then you have to ask yourself, why did they leave Florida State out of it? Maybe because they don't like them. For whatever reasons. For whatever reasons. I don't know. Now, if you ask the media partners of the Big Ten, they probably feel a little different. Now, I think they want to get into Florida. They'll take Miami. I think Fox will pay for Miami. I think they would prefer Florida State. And the only reason I say that, and this is not a knock on Miami, but I believe I'm accurate on this. If you look at their ratings, Florida State's, I think, is better. Here's why. They have a pretty low floor. Look at last year. They were the definition of suckage last year. It was horrific. What did they win? 2 games? 2 games. After going undefeated. Holy shit. I don't want to hear any more crap about TCU ever again. Nothing. I don't want to hear nothing about TCU ever again. After that. But here's the deal. Look at Florida State's ratings. They were right there with Miami last year, being horrific. Now, Miami missed the playoffs, but they were what? The 3rd best team in the ACC. They were a contender all year. All year. Here's the thing about here's the real clear difference about Florida State and Miami. Florida State has a higher floor than Miami does. When Miami's ratings go down, they go down more than what Florida State's would. And when they both rise up and they're getting like top-notch ratings for them, Florida State can elevate a little higher than Miami does. But moreover, Florida State is just more consistent. There's not as many wild swings as there is with Miami. Having said that, Miami, it's kind of a prestigious market and this is what the Big Ten likes. This is what their media partners like. This is what one of the things they're paying for and have been paying for, is to be in those big time prestigious markets. So if you look at the AAU, you look at everything, I think there's some legitimacy there that the Big Ten presidents don't value Florida State. Not like, us Big 12 fans, not like people from the outside see Florida State. I think we see Florida State a lot different, and I think they see themselves a lot differently than the Big Ten does. I think that's the truth. Now, again, I don't believe this little punk who wrote the column in USA Today. I don't think he's accurate. Oh, they'll never do. There's always a chance. There's a chance. And because there's a chance, that's why the SEC and ESPN are going to come calling for Florida State as soon as possible. They're going to protect their territory. Also, a lot of people told me about Clemson. There's no way in hell the Big Ten will ever touch Clemson. I firmly believe that Fox has talked to Big Ten presidents, say, hey, consider Clemson, consider Florida State. We need more premium matchups. For the amount of money we're paying you, we're not getting enough. There's 3 big media partners here. There's not enough of that premium steak to go around. All right. A lot of people are getting a lot of chicken bones. They want some filet mignon. That's what they're paying for. They don't mind a little chicken, but give us that steak. That's what they want. The Big Ten, well, their idea of steak is probably a little different. What's chicken to their media partners is steak to them. The UNCs and UVAs of the world, for instance. So I think there's a divide on what is wanted between the media partners and between the Big Ten. Do I have absolute evidence of this? No. But I do. But it has been reported NBC ain't exactly thrilled. Okay, they're not exactly thrilled with what they're getting versus what they're paying for. So, and if NBC is a little salty about it, then you better believe CBS is as well. And if they're salty, Fox is salty. You get my meaning here? You get my meaning here? Now, I did a whole video about this thing. I'm going to tag it at the end of this video. So if you actually happen to be watching towards the end, you can just click on that. You know, it's about the Big Ten and their media partners. Kind of, you know, there's some conflict there. Probably about this very thing. And I think this whole story helps to illustrate the point I was making. So overall, when you look at the Big Ten, and there's far too many people talking about what the culture is in the Big Ten, what the presidents want in the Big Ten, this AAU importance, the academic importance. They're allowed to feel how they want to feel there in the Big Ten. All right, the people who run it, the big dogs, that's what they love. That's what they love. But here's the thing: when it comes to athletics, they don't pay themselves. They have media partners to pay them for their athletics. And let's just keep it real. It's 80% for the football, 20% for the basketball. That's the breakdown of their money. No one's paying for hockey. The media partners aren't paying them for hockey. They'll air it, but the football, the basketball, that's what's driving their athletic dollars. And I know, please, I know, academics and research equates to a hell of a lot more money than the athletics do. Also keep in mind, all you people who want to keep telling me this, these are not for profit. Not for profit enterprises. All right. Is there a board of directors? Or can you buy Ohio State stock on the market? No, you can't. You dips out there thinking that crap. Fox, CBS, NBC, they are not paying for your research. Your research does not get viewership. All right, it's your football. That's what they're paying for. That's right, this little icky blue-collar gladiator sport, this trailer trash sport, that's what they're watching. And that's what they're paying for. All this, people put all this importance on, how rich the consumers or your area, your market is, and as far, that's one of the arguments for UNC going to the Big Ten or the SEC. Well, they got all these, rich people that live there. That's the rich viewers. If you don't have enough viewers, it doesn't matter how rich they are, dumbass. And football, traditionally and factually, doesn't have a huge high-end clientele. Just look at the ads on the NFL. What do you see? Chevy, Dodge, Ford, Nissan, Toyota. Do those things scream richy rich people? No. Go to the PGA. What do you see? You see Rolex. You see Acura. You see, a Lexus. You see Cadillac, Lincoln. You see all the high-end shit when it comes to the PGA advertisers. Because those are the real rich people that are watching that. What, football? No, you're getting Gatorade. You're getting Coca-Cola. You're getting all the crap that all of us middle class, lower middle class, all us peasants out here, that's the crap we buy. That's why they're advertising like that. No one can tell the Big Ten who they need to add. But they can't tell the media partners who they're going to pay for either. There's some give and take. It's an interesting thing. And it's something to keep an eye on. My speculation has always been there's not going to be a lot of additions to the Big Ten regardless. All this talk about all these teams, no. It's not going to happen. I thought they would fight for Florida State. Actually, I could be very wrong on that. I thought there'd be a bidding war between the Big Ten and the SEC, or between Fox and ESPN for Florida State. I don't know. I may have had that shit dead ass wrong. My initial thought could be very right. That it's going to be Miami, and then they'll wait on Notre Dame. Why? Because they can afford to wait on Notre Dame. All right, I'm sorry. UNC, it's not the first domino. It never was. It ain't. They're not the linchpin of anything. Anything. Because they can't be, because they're stuck in the ACC because of internal North Carolina politics. That's the truth. So, I'm just going to stick with that prediction. I think they'll snatch up Miami, and then they'll hold it 19. They'll save that 20 spot for Notre Dame for whenever Notre Dame wants to make the move. And then they'll shut it the hell down. Because that's all you need. That's all you need if you're the Big Ten. You don't need nothing more. That'll supply plenty of money for them for the foreseeable future. But I still think their media partners are going to keep pushing for Florida State, keep pushing for Clemson, because they need those premium matchups. As far as Notre Dame goes, here's the tricky thing about Notre Dame. I don't know that NBC wants to see them go to the Big Ten. Because now they got to share Notre Dame with CBS and more with Fox. I don't think they like that much. They have a good relationship with Notre Dame, and it's been going on for decades. That's kind of the way I see it. I don't know. Don't know. But I do believe, and it just looks like the Big Ten doesn't quite like Florida State. It's not their favorite. Not even close. And I know there's a lot of Florida State fans that hate to hear it. All right, like I'm another person jumping on the pile when the whole time I've been on your side. Like, yeah, the Big Ten want you. Now, I still thought you were going to the SEC, but I'm like, yeah, of course the Big Ten wants you. Well, I think the Big Ten media partners want you. I just don't think the presidents do. And they don't have to add anybody that they don't want to add, but that will affect their money in the future. Like, they may think they deserve a bigger jump than what they actually get. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some more crap later. Bye.